What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast. My name is Henry. In today's episode, we are going to be chatting with a couple of folks from the admin team of the upcoming Midwest TI Championship, a tournament being held in just under 2 weeks in the state of Indiana here in the US. It is a great time for TI tournaments, really all around the globe at the moment. It's a very exciting summer. So I'm going to be talking to those guys a bit about this year's tournament, how they came together to start the event in general, because this is the second edition of that tournament, as well as some spicy moments from last year's event. I know there are plenty of you out there who have thought about, dreamed about, salivated about the thought of hosting your own TI tournament or TI event. And these folks did it. So in addition to having a fun little chat about their event, I hope it also may inspire some aspiring tournament organizers out there to put their event together. But first, we of course have to go over this weekend's game, Game 4 of Stooge for the Throne 2. Joining me to discuss that game is the featured junkie and, spoiler alert if you did not tune in, the abject loser of this game, Henry. Welcome, Henry. Thank you, Henry. I'm happy to be here, despite that slanderous introduction. It is true, I was not the winner, and this was not my best performance in TI, for sure. It was, in fact, one of my worst, probably, and for sure my worst game as Soul I have ever played. Wow, Henry, your worst Soul game? Well, I have to ask you to walk us through it. Where did it all go wrong? What happened? How did it start? Well, I appreciate that question, Henry. Round 1 was actually really exciting for me because it was naturally where my game peaked. I was able to score Custodians round 1 as Soul, which was very exciting. Not that they're unable to do that, but there was a Nalu in the game. During the strategy phase, I was sort of torn if I should take politics or something else. And a long time ago, I started a policy of if I'm torn between politics and something else, I just take politics. And in this case, I was able to draw a flank speed when I popped that strategy card. And then by the combination of following Diplo, selling my promissory note for $1, and researching Grav Drive, I was able to get all the way to Shmeketol with that flank speed and score Custodians. Wow, Henry, scoring Custodians with Nalu in the game, you must have really felt like you were being graced by the omnibenevolence of the TI gods. Then what happened? Well, Henry, I'll tell you, from there, things went downhill. I thought I was building a solid relationship with my Yin neighbor, but they ended up coming into my slice pretty early in the game. And, at first I thought, well, this is just for a point. I can forgive this. I don't want to let this relationship sour, because I thought going into the game, beefing up Yin might be a good idea, and, being friends with them might be a good idea. But ultimately, they decided to threaten my home system and try to extort a ceasefire and support out of me. I decided not to capitulate. I thought maybe that was an unnecessary move, didn't really help their game too much. And also, honestly, I thought I would win the combat because I had upgraded my carriers and had an emergency repairs in hand. But alas, they came into my home. There was a wild 3-hit round with, I think, just a carrier and 2 fighters. They got 3 hits or something. I ended up losing my home system as a result of that action. So that's never great when you're already out of your home system in the first 2 or 3 rounds. But it was honestly not yet the end of my game. I had Imperial, I think this was round 3, and I was like, well, I'm still okay if I can just take back my home, which it seems like I'll be able to do. And actually, I have a couple ships out here and trade goods, so I might be able to double score. But tragically, on my way back home, I was hit with a parlay from the Yin player, and that's when it started to look like I was pretty hamstrung in terms of this game. Wow, Henry, that truly is quite a brutal hosing. My condolences to you. I do have to ask, as a follow-up, what was going on at the rest of the table then, if you were getting so brutally hosed? I would say, meanwhile, K Ruthless, the Nalu player and eventual winner of this game, just sort of coasted by, including a round 1 Obsidian draw, and sort of just leisurely strolled across the finish line. The extra player, Hunter, who we play with in New Zealand, was also in contention for the win at the end there, but as TI games can sometimes go, it was sort of pretty effortless win for the Nalu with no clear winslay on the table in round 5. I think overall throughout the game, the table was quite focused on their own business, and Nalu never really had the heat that they could have had. And honestly, as I sort of got further and further out of the game, I did become a little less interested in corralling the heat to focus it on Nalu, when I really was just trying to even get back to having like a 1 to 5% chance. And I sort of figured, well, Extra and Nalu here are the clear candidates for the win. They're going to have to sort out what they need to do to each other, to Winsley, to take care of business, or whatever, depending on the objectives. And at the end of the day, it was a fun table. I had a good time. Spirits were high despite the early hosing. And while I was sad to see my game go so poorly, that is TI. Sometimes you just get hosed. And that's on me. I thought I was potentially creating a Stooge in my yin neighbor, but it turned out I was creating a monster. And then we both lost the game. So, shout outs to Sam. Up to you if you think hosing me actually helped you get closer to the win. Oh! Good game to everyone. It was fun playing with everyone. Good vibes at the table, the whole game. And congrats to K Ruthless, Kyle. They are on to the final, and I'm actually super excited to see them joining the ranks of Nikki, Drago, Carnal. It is already looking like a very stacked final game. Good players, spicy players, and I can't wait to see who else makes it into the final. Wow, Henry, that is just a really great attitude. Great sportsmanship on display here. Really appreciate that, and thank you so much for coming on to discuss your performance in the game this weekend. My pleasure, Henry. All right, let's change gears a little bit now and bring on today's guests for this episode. I'm here with the admin team of the epic upcoming Midwest TI Championships. What's up, guys? Maybe you can introduce yourselves real quickly.
What up? It's your boy Stub. No, I'm just kidding. That was my best Nathan. I'm Stub Joe. I'm lead of the admin team. With me is...
Hi, I am Michael, or Monk. I'm helping out. I help with the prizes.
Yeah, and part of the admin team. And there's 6 of us total, but 2 of us are going to be on the call today. On the pod.
Right on. Well, maybe you can start out with just the big, broad... What is this tournament? Where is it? When is it? Who can attend? Give us these big bullet points.
Yeah, absolutely. Tournament's going to be in South Bend, Indiana, June 21 and 22. We're going to be playing both days, TI on Saturday and TI on Sunday. At the end of Sunday, we're going to crown a champion. You can check us out at Eventbrite. We'll post the link in a couple places. Our official name is Midwest Tabletop Tournament and Gaming, so you might see it abbreviated MTT. PG presents a TI tournament. Cost is $40. Gets you 2 days of gaming. Play both days, no matter what. Crown some winners. Have some prizes. We got a lot in store. We do have 1-day tickets available. So if you are local and you want to come check it out, we have some 1-day tickets to come in, and if we get enough 1-day tickets, we'll actually maybe do a learning game.
Ooh.
Yeah, but if you are someone who has any familiarity with the game and you feel like you can play without screwing up too many of the rules, we strongly would push you towards playing in our tournament. It's a great time. It's not as cutthroat as the tournament name might suggest. It's really a pretty chill time.
Yeah, so if you're someone who forgets your free infantry with the Soul flagship, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is low stress. It's our second year. The first year was awesome, a lot of fun. We put it together in a short amount of time, and we're so just flabbergasted and blessed, I would say, to get 36 players. We are already at 43 tickets sold, so it's going to be bigger and better than last year.
Nice.
Yeah, we're ready to meet some people. That's basically the whole reason that we started this tournament, was to first meet people in the area that want to play some Twilight Imperium.
That's awesome.
And that area just got bigger and bigger to the point that we had a nice tournament.
We currently don't really have a limit of people that can come, so I don't know. Keep them coming.
Hell yeah.
The tournament is going to be at the Doubletree by Hilton in South Bend at 123 North Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. It's actually a really great hotel, a great venue.
I think I actually stayed there in the past.
No.
Rand and I did stay there, actually.
No.
It's swanky for Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
TI Junkie approved hotel.
That's amazing. Yeah, we're going to be there. We've got room blocks available still. We also have another hotel blocked a little ways away if people are kind of driving anyway and maybe want that little extra space between their competitors. Check out our Discord for that information on staying there.
You got to stay at the venue. Keep your enemies close and your stooges even closer. So you guys are local to South Bend. How did it go from your like local group of friends, I presume, to then running an event in South Bend for TI?
It started with Joe.
It starts kind of like how it always starts, right? If I go way, way back, my probably favorite board game, it turned out to be Rex, Final Days of an Empire. And some of my favorite gaming nights came from that board game. So, like, we always knew what TI was because we were playing this other weird game that referenced it a whole bunch. We just always kind of thought it was too much for us. And one day we just kind of took the plunge. I remember buying my first copy of TI.
Yeah.
And it took me about a year before I finally had everything punched out and set up. And it took me an hour to make it through one tactical action, trying to go by the book. We slowly kind of formed a gaming group, and we played our first 4-player game. Surprise, surprise, it was a sole win.
Disgusting.
I know. Your name is very apt, and it's hard for the community, I think, to understand how addicting this game is.
It's true.
So,
it's true.
yeah, we all just got hooked, and we just kept playing.
I'm not even sure how you got me so hooked. Because I hate board games, Monopoly is trash. I'd rather play Boggle. But once I got the hang of Twilight Imperium about the second game, I was in for life.
I feel like I hear that story time and time again because even, Rand of TI Junkies Glory used to play other board games as well. But then once she started playing TI, it was like, all right, no other board games need to exist. Like, this is fine. Any other board game I could play would just be time I could be spending playing TI.
Yeah. And I think one thing that helped our group too is I ended up going to the 25th anniversary tournament at Gen Con. And at that time we had like a good 6-player group and we were playing. I had one game of POK under my belt when I went down to that tournament. I just went by myself just to check it out. I didn't expect to do anything, Yeah. And I walked away day one with an X-Jaw win. It was a 7-player game. And so you get success like that, and it sort of follows you, Then from then I for sure was hooked, and it also put a bug in my head that this was something that was really special, and I really enjoyed this live TI event and this tournament setting.
Absolutely. I think for anyone who's out there who's just done like the online tournaments, those are still fun and awesome because they can get so many hundreds of people like in the SCPT one. But there's something special about going to a real life TI tournament and seeing like so many copies spread out in one room on all those tables and all those nerds just huddled together at the holy grail of TI. It's definitely special.
Yeah, I'd love to elaborate on that. I think we take for granted that we have kind of our own culture now, almost, We're almost like, to get philosophical here, we're almost like speaking a second language when we get together. If I say to somebody that, I'm going to rift it for the biscuit, to get custodes, everybody knows what I'm talking about, And
except for our coworkers who are very confused.
Yeah.
That's true. Newbies have a steep learning curve. But what's really fun, you sit down at a table with 5 other strangers, but somehow we all have that in common. We all share that. We all sort of speak that language, and we all kind of have that same culture. And that's what has sort of blown me away about this community.
Yeah.
The special sauce of TI is these sort of live in-person events. It's not the same as rolling dice on a computer.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that really drove us to keep pursuing this is we had players from literally all over the country and even Canada. So we had players from Georgia, shout out to Kevin. We had players from Tennessee, shout out to Ethan. We had players from St. Louis. We had our winner came from New York City. He definitely got cast out, I believe, from his New York group because he was winning too much, and just came to the Midwest and just stomped us. But we had Canadians, we had Michiganders, we had people from Minneapolis, from St. Louis, Pittsburgh. The folks from Indy came out. The folks from Chicago came out. It really showed me and the group as a whole that there was this need for it, and there's a community there. There's a community of us here that all want to get together and all want to play games and all want to have fun and all kind of want to live in this world that we've kind of created and just kind of be in that culture moment, I think.
Absolutely. When did the first inkling of like putting together the first tournament last year like start? How did that all start? How did that come together?
So I had been kind of thinking about trying to try a tournament in South Bend. If for those people that don't know, they're listening, South Bend, Indiana, is kind of in the crosshairs between maybe like Chicago, Toledo, and Grand Rapids and Indianapolis. It's kind of right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fairly well centered for having people come in. We also, it's home to University of Notre Dame. And so we have a ton of infrastructure for when Notre Dame has big events, football games, homecoming, things like that. And then when they're not there, we just have this kind of empty infrastructure that we don't use a ton of it. And so that I thought that there was kind of a unique thing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting on my couch in April. I had the day off work. And somebody just threw up a Reddit post that was like, hey, we should have a Midwest tournament. And I was like, hell yeah. So a bunch of us got together and they asked me, I said, I'm willing to do it. And they said, if you're willing to put the work in, we'll let the location be South Bend. And that's kind of how it all came about. I was really fortunate that my group is a really good bunch of guys. And I kind of brought this up and I said, hey, this is a chance to start something really cool here, something we can do year after year, bring TI into South Bend, bring something into the community, grow the TI base here in South Bend. And they met that call. And now we have 6 people on the admin team. One of them was the original Reddit poster, and another one is in Madison, and the other 4 of us are here locally in South Bend. So it's been wild. It's been a ride. Last year, like Monk said, we put the tournament together in probably like 8 weeks.
That's quick.
So we've really been working on this for almost a full year. So this year it feels a lot more organized. We have a lot more surprises. We're a lot more prepared for what's going on. And we just can't wait to show people like what we can do.
You have any highlights or special memories or special super extra spicy moments from last year you'd care to share and entice maybe someone who's thinking, oh, South Bend Twilight Imperium tournament, maybe I want to go to that. Where's the spice?
Ooh, so let me tell people who are kind of listening to this. It is a tournament, but also we heavily stress that every table should really feel like it's your buddy's table in a basement somewhere.
I love that.
Yeah, so if we have, so first of all, I told everybody if there's rules problems, the first place to ask is everybody at the table. We want that group to come up with, if you totally forgot you had anti-mass 3 turns ago, we want the table to kind of figure out like how to deal with that, how to police that. We have contingency plans in place, like if that is one of the admin team, or people cannot be partial because it is a tournament. But that's kind of the vibe we want to have. Is it is a tournament. We do crown a winner, but we want to have as much fun as possible. One of the things I really stressed the first day, and I will again this year, is that we had people come from all over the country and from Canada. Not one of them came to have their games trashed, to get, belittled, to get, bullied, anything like that. We're pretty generous with like our slices. We're pretty generous with how many factions we get. It's like, God forbid you drive in from St. Louis and you have to play Arborec and you've never played Arborec in your life.
I love that because like you're there with, potentially a lot of people you don't know, a lot of people you've never played with. So I love that, prioritizing just like a fun, let's like play TI and not be, jaded, sad players from round 1 today. Let's like have fun and play a game and like celebrate this thing that we love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things that was super successful last year is we would break for lunch, but we would break for lunch as the tables were, because not everybody's at the same spot in their game, right? And so when table 1 was at a good spot to go get lunch, the whole table would leave and go. And I kind of made a rule. I said, I don't want you guys to talk about your game when you're out at lunch. It's not fair if someone's not there and you're sort of scheming behind their back, and I don't want any of that. And there's definitely those people that are like, don't talk to me, don't touch me, I'm eating.
Yeah.
But what that did was it really forced everybody to like get to know each other, right? Mm-hmm. So everybody went out, hey, where are you from? How did you get into TI? Who's your favorite faction? And again, it comes back to that sort of culture, right? Where like, we already like speak the second language to each other, and it was just this really cool way to just kind of connect. And those were like some of my funnest moments of the tournament. Monk, did you have any that you... I definitely have some spicy ones after.
Oh, yeah. My first game went super fast. I got my butt handed to me in 3 hours, and it was a lot of fun. Our games don't go that fast usually here, and it was just a really fun blur. The second game, also great. I ended up playing with some of the same people and was originally seated directly next to the same person, so I switched spots, took worse initiative order. You guys are all welcome. Just to play a slightly different game. It was a lot of fun. We had 36 players last year, which we were super lucky to get. We're looking at 43 tickets sold. We've got room for 72 at the most. So we would love to see whoever we can get there.
Yeah.
Fill those seats out.
Yes. We want to see as many people as we can. We actually have double the space we had last year. So returners from last year, we have our same room, but then they opened up the whole other half of that room. So we've doubled our space that we can fill, and we're super stoked. I'll give you a couple spicy moments, though. You want some spicy moments?
I would love some spicy moments. But I like actually that we led with the wholesome love for the game. But yes, give us the spice. Give us the spice.
All right. So I'm gonna tell you how my game almost ended on day 2. Okay, so I was not in the championship game. I was in kind of a consolation game. Again, the winners on day 2, I'll get a prize. So if you lost day 1 but you win your game on day 2, you get like a cool prize. So you're not out of it. There's still plenty to be won on day 2. We thought it would be a good idea to make our slices as hard as possible so that the championship table had a really challenging game.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, except that we made everybody play in the really hard slices. And like the number of tables that went to round 6 was like disgusting. So that's one of the lessons we've learned this year. We're not doing that this year. In fact, side note, we have a super special day 2, we'll call it a map, planned. But it is a surprise, and we're not going to reveal it until the night of day 1.
Ooh, the tease.
Yes. Check back on Reddit and our Discord for some photos for that. So on day 2, I had kind of been doing my hosting duties too, and I was helping take pictures and do all this other stuff. And our game was about 10 hours into round 6, and I was playing Necro, which I never play, and I was at 8 points. And when you're on the agenda phase and you just feel it in your bones that there's a point in that deck.
Oh, yeah.
So Political Censure comes out. I use my Necro ability and 2 riders that I had to kind of like throw the vote to another player, and then I totally played Confounding to pick up this point, and it put me at 9, and I only needed my action phase secret, which was the AFB one, for the win. I was lucky enough to get leadership, so I could go first. My neighbor was Kyle, who's also on the admin team. He's playing Mahawked, and he was going to murder me as soon as he got the chance. And I had copied, of all the stupid things, I copied Memoria 2 the previous round. So I found my target of 1 lone fighter, and they had forgotten that I had my mech spread around. And I was able to hop all the way from a home system to almost another home system to try and score 1 AFB hit. I think Memoria 2 hits 3 on a 5 AFB, and I missed all 3 dice.
What's the thing you get from this?
A point.
A point immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an action phase secret.
Action phase secret. If he kills your 1 fighter.
Ooh, can you do it?
3, 2, 1, go. Nope.
I almost want you to re-roll so I can go.
Oh, it was brutal.
That's when the TI gods are just like, it's not your time, Joe.
Yep. And then somebody closed it out literally the next turn, and I think somebody else closed it out. Yeah, that was a super memorable one for me too. But yeah, again, I can't stress enough how it was such... The best part of the tournament for me by far was just meeting everybody. This year, like last year, we're going to have some time at the hotel after day one games are over. So like last year we ended up playing Blood Rage until midnight, and this year we're gonna have some time too. So we're gonna have some extra board game time. I'm gonna bring Cosmic. I'm gonna bring Rex. I'm gonna bring King of Tokyo. Some dumb games. Some games that are dudes on a map, but also maybe some just brainless games too.
After a long day of TI, you can just unplug your brain and play some other games and just not care about them and have some fun. Hang your competition hat up.
Yeah, hang your competition hat up. Hang with everybody else. That was the best part.
I'm bringing Boggle, so I'm definitely going to wear that competition hat. But...
I definitely have to mention one more thing, though. So one of the things that we came up with for this tournament is something called super objectives. So super objectives are essentially like really cool things that happen in TI that are rare and odd, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. So some examples are if you score both your hits on an AFB on a Destroyer 1, that was a super objective, right? It's 2 on a 9 and you score that, right? That's so super rare, right? But also like some bad ones, right? So if you whiff all your dice on a War Sun, right? Totally happens, right? It's hilarious when it happens. And so a few other ones. We had move a ship 4 spaces, win a fight against units where you only have that roll on 9s. Yeah, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So funny things that happen in the game that when you have 6, 7, 8 games happening all at once, like the frequency just happens a lot more, right? And so what we did last year is we had these super objectives. We revealed them kind of one by one, and people could go check them out. As they were scored, people were signing them. And then I totally stole this from you guys, and I'm sorry. We gave away as the prize for the person who scored the most super objectives a metal Ixion die to roll, which I totally pirated off of the Junkies.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No, I'm certain we were not the first or the last to do
I
that.
definitely caught it from your show.
These are like meta objectives for the whole event.
Yeah.
So like anyone at any table could come score these like super objectives that were just there for the duration of the tournament.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. And one of the things is some of the hyper-competitive players were like, well, if you send your destroyer in there to try and roll AFB and then it throws off the whole game, yada, yada. So, we kind of wrote it into the laws. If you think you can score a super objective, but you think it's going to mess the whole game up, I'll just let you score it. Just tell me.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Honor system. So you're bringing that back this year, huh?
Yep, we're doing all new ones this year. One of the things that we are in collaboration with are 2 other sites that are also playing TI that weekend. So there's our tournament in South Bend, Indiana, and then there's another tournament in Vancouver, BC, and then the infamous, and you guys went to this, I'm super jealous, the infamous Skilled Retreat down in Australia are all the same weekend. And so we're going to try and have some collaboration between the 3 tournaments. More to come on that. You would know better than I, but they're telling me that Skilled Retreat is really out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yes.
And so we were trying to get maybe some sort of like FaceTime going, and they were like, we can't commit to that.
Yeah, it is a rural setting. Shout-outs to Skilled Retreat, a great event. Shout-outs to Aussie TI. That's so awesome, though. It's like, with all those events happening, it's like a total TI eclipse.
Yeah.
And I do hope you guys are able to work out a fun little collab. Cahoots was the right word.
Cahoots. Very nice, very nice.
I do have a question now, which is moving from year 1 to year 2, what do you think were like the takeaways for you guys, or things that you like, new things you wanted to implement? Or because I like, the super objective thing was successful and fun and cool to do again with new objectives. But yeah, so I'm wondering what were like the takeaways from last year's tournament, and like sort of what were you looking to do differently, or new fun things, or also you mentioned prizes, so like all the fun new stuff for tournament 2 this year.
So with this year, we wanted to make sure that we caught anyone who isn't completely ready for tournament play. And so that's why we're offering 1-day tickets on either Saturday or Sunday. Mm-hmm. Or if we get enough of them, we would do the teaching game, just so that anyone who might be turned off about competitive play can feel welcome and learn a little bit more about Twilight Imperium than just from a YouTube video. You can actually talk to people who have made their entire life around playing this game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just what we wanted to do, is bring more people in. So with adding that little bit of flexibility to the second year, I think we'll be able to catch some other people that were a little on the edge.
Yeah, that's fun, because also like if you're either like not super into like coming to play competitively because you're newer, or if you like have been playing for a long time but you're like, I want to come and just kind of chill and play more casual games than tournament games, like you still have a spot at a table there.
I think that was the big thing. We actually had a lot of ideas, and our group actually decided pretty early on that we were going to rein it back in. We had a lot of success year one, and so we're just kind of building off of that. But that really was our number one thing, was how can we make sure people feel comfortable here no matter what their skill level is? And then the other thing is that our group's mission statement, or even our company's mission statement, to say that we really want to grow the TI community in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. There's definitely those players that, they love playing in their buddy's basement. They meet with the same group all the time. They have their beef with the same players, round after round after round. And you say, hey, why don't you come and play with the larger group? And they're like, no, we just like this. And it's really hard to it's really hard to discourage that, because I totally get it. I totally get it.
I've always seen there's this kind of element where there's two ends of the spectrum. There's poker night with your friends, and there's going to the casino alone and playing Texas Hold'em. And TI has the same thing of for some people it's a social thing, for some people it's the competitive, it's the game itself.
Yeah.
But then there's also, all this middle ground where it can be social and for the game, and you're meeting new people, and you're still playing TI, and maybe your friends come to the event. There's all this, middle ground for that.
Yeah.
It was super diverse. I mean, on that second day, I got beat by a high schooler, and I'm in my 30s. It was great. Yeah, we had all sorts of age groups and people from everywhere, and that was a lot of fun. Another thing for this second year is our play area is twice as big. We have double the ballroom. So we'll be able to fit in, at the most, twice as many people. But we've got a nice big play area. There's even some sunshine that comes in, if you like sunshine with your Twilight Imperium.
And the other thing is we are being pretty successful at growing our local base here. That's one thing that we are pretty dedicated to. Our local group of 4 that expanded to 6, that expanded to 8, that expanded to 10. We're at about 14 now. In fact, we're so big that we've kind of moved out of my basement, and right now we're playing at a local fire station.
Oh, wow.
That lets us come in.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, so we're pretty routinely getting about 10 plus players to come in and play. So we're always more than one game. And so we just keep growing and growing. And our goal actually is to kind of have a perpetual monthly or every 5-week game at the firehouse, where we can get maybe 2, maybe even 3 games going at the same time.
This is a little tangent, but I have to ask further about this. Was there a firefighter who initiated the firehouse game? Are there firefighter TI players? How did playing at the firehouse start?
No. The firefighters definitely come and call us nerds several times during the night. They do not partake. No, that is not a thing that they do. No, we have a brother-in-law in our group who is captain at this particular station, and it's one of the ones that it's kind of on the outskirts of town. They staff it in case there's a fire, but they don't go to medical emergencies. So there's a couple guys there that are just chilling out, cooking dinner. If there was an actual fire, they'd have to go, but otherwise they don't even leave the house. Yeah, we get to set up shop in this conference room, ton of table space. We get a kitchen, it's pretty cozy.
They thought that we were LARPing, so they came and expected us to be in costumes.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different level of nerdom, but...
Yeah, we've explained it to them 3 times, and they don't want to hear it.
We would love for them to play.
I just had a vision of someone being like, Joe, your home system's activated, and you swinging down the fireman's pole to come in and roll your dice to defend your home system.
They don't let us touch. They don't let us touch.
Of course not.
Not after what happened.
Be ready. I'm gonna hit you with a very hard-hitting investigative journalist question now.
Bring it.
Which is, you guys, this new Codex is coming out just a few days before your event. What are your plans, if any, to address this release?
If the Codex has cards, first of all, we may actually be able to get them printed in time. We've got a ringer. You know what I mean? our South Bend group. You know,
We know a guy with a printer.
we know a guy. So it's entirely possible that people show up and we'll have 8 or 9 copies of Codex 4 ready to rock and roll. That is a possibility. Again, we don't know what it looks like though.
Mm-hmm.
If it is a lot of non-randomized cards that are changed, so agents, techs, promissory notes, things like that. Maybe not prom notes, but things that, you know, if they're in a deck, you know, you can't distinguish them from, you know, one from a different one, or it doesn't matter if they're distinguishable. So like Codex 3, all the yin changes, right? So those would be easy. If we could print those, they might look a little jank, but they'll play, right? They don't have to be randomized. If they add a bunch of like frontier cards or action cards or things like that would go in a randomized deck, we're going to be a little bit careful with that. But we are really, really, really going to try and get this going.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we know a guy.
We'll just write it down on index cards and cut them really good. We'll barely be
the
able
best.
to tell.
Yeah, you won't notice the crayon at all.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I was just curious because obviously, yeah, that's coming. And you know, Rand and I had a sort of discussion also about this because we have our online TI Junkies tournament happening right now, and we're like, what do we do? It's coming out in the middle of it. Like, I think probably the smart decision is like, no, this is just a POK tournament because it started as that, so it'd be weird to like change the rules halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool, and I'm sure, you know, people are gonna have fun playing POK. They'll have fun playing Codex 4 either way. But yeah, I was just curious.
And there's definitely a world where the tournament is standard POK, and then like we just bring out the janky stuff and try it all out at night too, like after day one. Like for sure, it'll be in some capacity. We will do something with it. That I can promise. But it'll just have to really depend on what we can do to make it work with the tournament.
We've also put out a lot of polls to the community on Discord just to get their feelings and opinions on things. So we can also reach out to our tournament members to see what they want to proceed, what they want to try out. Just we want to see what the 12th brings us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I am curious if it's going to be like all the other stuff, all the other releases where it's like, or POK where it's like a total replacement of stuff that exists, or if it's going to be like the TI3 expansions, which were more modular and you could just kind of plug in and play whatever you wanted. Just based on like some of the stuff that's been leaked, I'm like, does this seem like a rules overhaul or does this seem like optional toys? I'm excited to see next week.
They're definitely putting a lot more emphasis into this codex than they have into other codexes. That's for sure.
Yeah.
FFG's been in the Discord a bunch. They're doing a live presentation, so check that out. Put it on your calendars if you don't have that yet.
Oh yeah. Calling sick.
So it's more special than normal.
Hell yeah. Well, shout outs to you guys for running an event. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of invisible work for people to come and enjoy TI. And thanks for coming on to kind of chat about your journey with hosting this. Now it's a tournament series. Now it's not just a tournament. Now it's a whole thing. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show and thanks for doing the good TI gods work and spreading the game.
We can't end this without thanking you guys enough. We have to understand that this is our kind of our culture, and this is kind of our extended group of friends and all these content creators and people that are putting stuff out. You guys put out awesome work. We really love watching Junkie stuff. Shout out to like Radio Mechatol. You know, I listen to them all the time.
Twilight Imperium Junkies is the way to watch Twilight Imperium. You guys should make videos for golf because I'd start watching that too. I don't know how you can take this 8 to 12 hour game that like nobody. I tell all my family and friends about it and they're like, wow, that's great. You play for an entire workday, huh? And somehow you guys take that and make it to like 35, 45 minutes of completely entertaining gaming. I'm like, come check this out to my wife.
That's awesome.
And she's like, oh, yeah. But for a second, she gets some of the hype. It's like, yeah, he's a stooge.
That's too amazing. Well, thank you for the kind words. Rand is the editing wizard and like the creative force between the whole experience of the show. But yeah, thank you for those kind words. We're glad people are still watching and enjoying it. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us this week. If you are in the Midwest, be sure to check out this tournament, see if maybe it's something you want to attend. These guys clearly put a lot of love into their event, and it seems like a good time. I hope I'm able to make it out to a future installment. Also, we have Game 5 of Stooge for the Throne 2 coming up this weekend. Matt will be the featured junkie, so be sure to tune in and see if we can get a third junkie through into the final game. It's actually a super stacked game. Susan's in that game, Will is in that game, some other folks. I think it's going to be a really fun watch, so be sure to tune in. As always, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast.
If you like what we do and want to support the show, check out our Patreon, where amongst other things, you can vote on topics for future episodes.
Keep up with the TI Junkies series by subscribing on YouTube.
Until next time, keep stooging, or maybe don't.
Unless you're my Stooge.